Hello all, welcome back to the CD3 Automation Toolkit learning series. In this video, we will learn how to set up and execute the toolkit using Jenkins to create resources in OCI. For this setup, the tenancy config properties file should be filled with required tenancy config and Jenkins configuration values. Please refer to the previous videos to fill in the required details and execute the create tenancy config script. I have already filled in my details and executed the script. Let me show it quickly. This is my toolkit container. I will navigate to user scripts folder. Here we have the tenancy config properties file. So here I have filled in the required parameters for authentication. I also provided the details for my Jenkins configuration under the advanced parameters for DevOps. I'll come out of this file. I have already executed the create tenancy config script. I'll quickly open the output file that got generated. It is under the tenancies CD3 demo, which is the prefix I gave in my config properties file. So this is the output file that got generated. Let me show it. So these are the details of the OCI bucket and DevOps repository that got provision in OCI for Jenkins setup. And these are the next steps for using the toolkit via Jenkins. Here are the next steps to use the toolkit via CLI. In this demo, we are going to use Jenkins. So we'll start Jenkins using this command. You can see the Jenkins is fully up and running now. To access Jenkins, we have to use this URL in the browser. Replace this with the IP address of the machine hosting your Docker container. Let me switch to my browser and do that. So this is the Jenkins console. If you are logging in for the first time, provide the login credentials. After logging in under dashboard, here you will see a folder with the prefix name. If you click on this, you have set up OCI pipeline for toolkit execution. And then the Terraform folder contains Terraform pipelines for all the services in respective regions. The setup OCI pipeline is the heart of the toolkit. It is equal to executing the setup OCI script in CLI. So first, let us trigger the setup OCI pipeline. Click on it and then build with parameters. Here you are provided with a set of options. First one is to upload the Excel template. Here you have to upload your input Excel file with the resource details in it. If you leave it empty, previously uploaded file will be used. Let me quickly show the CD3 Excel template and where to download it from. So this is the CD3 GitHub page. If you scroll down, you can find a quick link to the Excel templates. Click on it. And if you scroll down, you can find all the CD3 Excel templates. You can choose any of these depending on the requirement. Since I'm going to create identity, network, and compute resources, I can select any of this. So this is the CD3 Excel template I downloaded and I renamed it. For this demo, I'm trying to create a group, a policy for the group, a VCN, two subnets within the VCN, and an instance within one of the subnets. So I have filled in all the required details for these resources. This is my group, then policy to allow this demo group to read all resources in the tenancy. Then I have a single VCN called CD3 VCN. In this compartment under London region, this is the CIDR block, and I've provided all the other required details here. These are the DHCP details. I'm planning to create two subnets, subnet 1 and subnet 2, one public and one private under this CD3 VCN. Next, in the instances tab, I have provided all my details to create a compute instance in the CD3 VCN subnet 1. You can refer to this blue section in all the sheets to fill in the required details of each of the resources. This is the image details of this VM. My image OCID is the variable which contains the OCID of the image we are going to use in this demo. We have to add the value in variables file of this region. I'll show how to do that. Similarly, for SSH key to log into the instance, this is the variable that contains the public key. I have already added these values in the variables file. Let me show that. So in the container, I am in the tenancies folder now. I'll go into the tenancy specific folder CD3 demo. Here we have a folder called Terraform files. Let's go into that. And within the Terraform files folder, you have all the region folders. Since we are planning to create our instance in London region, I'll go into the London folder. Here we have all the service folders for London region. I'll go into the compute folder, and then we have to edit this variables underscore London file. So here under SSH keys, I have added my SSH public key. This is the variable we gave in the Excel sheet for SSH key. And if you scroll down, here is the section for image OCIDs. Under the variable instance source OCID, I added my image OCID. With the image OCID, I want to create my instance with. So I've come out of this file. We have made these changes locally. Now these changes have to be reflected in the OCI DevOps repository that got created earlier. For that, let us first go into the Terraform files folder. For the instructions, if you go into the CD3 documentation page, click on use with Jenkins, and at the end you can see commit local changes to Git. So first we are in the Terraform files folder already. Next we have to do a Git status. So it is showing the change that we made here in the variables London file. Then we do git add. Next we commit the changes. Then we do a git push. So the changes are now pushed to the OCI DevOps repository. Now we can proceed with Jenkins execution. So now our Excel file is ready and the variables file is also ready. We can start filling out these options. So first I'll upload my input Excel file here. Then we have an option to choose a workflow type. You can either create a new resources in OCI or export existing resources from OCI. For this demo, we are going to create resources. So I'll select that option. Based on the workflow you selected, you will be provided with few resource options. I'll select identity, network, and compute. And under the sub options, I'll select groups, policies, create network, and then add instance, as these are the details we provided in our Excel template. I'll click on build now. So the setup OCI pipeline is triggered now and its different stages are getting executed. We will talk about each stage now. The validate input parameter stage validates the input file name, size, and the selected options. Next is the update setup OCI properties stage. This stage updates the CD3 Excel file name, workflow type in the setup OCI properties file. In CLI, we enter these details manually inside the properties file. Then we have the execute setup OCI, which executes the setup OCI Python script to generate required TF files for the create workflow. And then we have the run import command stage, which is specifically for exporting resources. So this stage is skipped here. We will discuss about this during the export video. Next, the Terraform files folder is committed to OCI DevOps Git repo that got created, and the Terraform pipelines are triggered from here. Now let us check the OCI DevOps repo. Go to Developer Services. Under DevOps, click on Projects. This is the DevOps project that got created, and this is the repository. Click on it. Select the Develop branch. Here you will see all the region folders. Click on Ashburn. Here you have separate service directories. When creating the tenancy config, we opted to have multiple out directory structure for each of the service. So that's the reason we can see different folders for each service. In Ashburn, we have created identity resources. So let us click on it. Here you can see the auto.tf files created for groups and policies. So this is the TF files for groups. Similarly, you can check for other services as well. Let us go back to the Jenkins console now. As you can see, the Terraform pipelines for identity, network, and compute got triggered. You can see the compute stage failed because it has a dependency on the network stage. So first we have to create the network resources and then build the compute pipeline manually. First, I'll start with identity. Click on logs here. This is the identity apply pipeline. I'll open this in a new tab. So this is the apply pipeline. This pipeline is also executed through different stages. The first stage will check out the Terraform files from our OCI DevOps Git repo and then create a Terraform plan out of those files. Let me click on the logs under the plan stage. You can see there are two identity resources to be added, a group and a policy. Next, the plan is run through the OPA stage. OPA or Open Policy Agent validates the Terraform plan against a set of custom defined policies. If this stage fails, it will show as unstable. This state is succeeded now, and then the plan is sent for approval. So here it is asking me if I want to apply the plan or abort it. I'll click on proceed. The Terraform apply stage is executing now. It got succeeded. You can see the logs here. You can see the resources that got created. Now let us go back to the setup OCI pipeline and go to the network stage. Open the network apply pipeline. So here it is asking me for approval. I'll proceed. The apply is also succeeded now. I'll click on the logs. You can see there are 12 resources that got created, including the subnets, route tables, security lists, everything. So now let us come back to set up OCI pipeline again. Here is the compute stage. Let us open it in a new tab. So the compute stage has failed because it tried to create compute even before the network pipeline was successful. This pipeline has to be executed manually now. Let us click on build now. Now that we have the network resources ready, this pipeline will succeed now. It has generated a plan to create the instance and then it is waiting for my approval. I click on proceed. So the apply stage is also successful. The compute instance got created in OCI. Let us now check the resources that got created in OCI. This is the virtual cloud network that got created along with its two subnets. The route tables and security lists and DHCP options are also created. Next, let us go to instances. This is the instance we created using CD3. So these Terraform pipelines that we just saw for individual services can also be accessed from the dashboard. In the dashboard, if you click on the prefix name, here under the Terraform files folder, you can click on the region Ashburn, and then we created identity resources under Ashburn. It has both apply and destroy pipelines. So you can access it from here or come back to the tenancy specific folder and then click on any of the regions here. And then you can see the apply and destroy pipelines for each of the services for compute, budget, database, etc. So this is how easily you can execute the OCI automation toolkit using Jenkins to create resources in OCI. Please check out the toolkit, GitHub documentation, and other videos in this playlist. I have provided all the links in description. Hope you like this video. Please share your valuable feedback in the comments. Thank you.